Doc, let's go through the stage. This was unusual team commitment from so far out, wasn't it?
It was. We saw a lot of the key sprinters being dropped on that climb with 95 kilometres to go. Nick had said last night that we knew that was one area where Sagan had to really show his strength, show his dominance over the other sprinters. And once they got to the top of that climb, what was extraordinary was the entire Cannondale team got to the front with just under 90 kilometres to go. You can see that they're going to drive the pace, basically getting reinforcement and information from the team car that Kittel, Cavendish, Goss and Greipel are all in a chase group and have lost quite a lot of time already. What's interesting then is the next piece of footage we've got is a great shot of Henderson calling off the chase effectively. They've been riding, over 2 hours now with combined strength of Argos, Shimano and Lotto to try and make the ground up.
Exactly, like they've been on the front now for 65k, and you do need someone within your team to make those decisions. You can't keep flogging a dead horse, so to speak. When you've been riding for 65k and the gap is still at 3 minutes, you're better off just to call it off. And they had no pressure. They've won a stage. Absolutely,
and we know Degenkolb was in the front group. They would have brought Goss and Cavendish back up with them as well if they'd rejoined with the second group. So Cannondale did this amazing job. They helped a little bit with a couple of Orica Green Edge riders wanting to preserve Impey's jersey and keep them safe. I mean, they were doing such an amazing team's time trial that there's this great aerial shot of them going around a roundabout with 4 kilometres to go. You can see they take the corner way too wide.
Nearly undid 100 k's of good work right there.
It could have been a total disaster, absolutely. So what was also interesting with about 2 kilometres to go is you can see then is Degenkolb with his 2 other Argos Shimano riders. They've moved across the road to really position themselves in behind Sagan. And coming into the finish, then there's a couple of opportunists. Ferrari from Lamprey was there, as well as Kwiatkowski, the other Amiga farmer rider. But Sagan really just has this perfect lead out from his team. He would have gone in feeling incredibly confident, incredibly fresh and motivated, and there he can do a little bit of chest beating as well to reinforce the fantastic sponsorship.
Yeah, it was a very deserved win though, to ride that far out, to sacrifice your whole team, to say this is where we're going, a long way out. It's a tough call mentally, especially after a really hard first week in the Tour. They've had pressure on them because they haven't won, so it was a really good win.
Leaves us at an interesting point though. They've been sharing the yellow around this first week, and now all the sprinters have shared a win. So they're kind of one each. Now what's the next phase in the sprinters' minds?
Well, with a couple of days where they can kind of ride tranquilo and hide in the gruppetto a little, I think that the Sagan is going to pull up from these hillier days a little better. Even though the bigger sprinters aren't going to be stressing themselves out too much, it's still a load. It's still a lot of kilojoules being expended. It's going to be really hot. The bigger you are and the heavier you are, the harder it is to pull up from really hot days.
Definitely. And I think we've seen Sagan get better and better. He had a crash on day 1 and he's just found his legs and he's coming into really good condition now.
That only leaves Matthew Goss with a win to chase. He's got a chance in the next handful of days, I suppose.
Yeah, two days off now, so to speak.
And perhaps less to defend. He's had a responsibility to either look kind of semi-preserve the gold jersey, but also he hasn't been getting the support of any of his team. And we saw 8 guys looking after Sagan, and Goss, they basically said to Goss, hey, if you can get in a good position, great, but if you can't, sorry about that.
Cool, thanks for that. Great analysis of yesterday's stage 8.